Muchas Gracias, helmed by Chef Christian Irabién, is a Mexican restaurant with a commitment to giving back to the immigrant community. Today, Chef Christian is joined by sous-chef Helen and bar director Jan. And now, as I turn things over to the Muchas Gracias team, I'd like to remind you that we're entering a working restaurant. You might hear some sounds or hustle and bustle. That just means that after this program, you can visit Muchas Gracias for some delicious food. And now, over to you, Christian.
Welcome. My name is Christian. I am the chef here at Muchas Gracias in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us. So much to the U.S. Botanic Gardens for having us participate in this event with you guys. I'm joined today by our sous chef here at Muchas Gracias, Helen Guzman. And in a little bit, as soon as we're done with all of the delicious food that we're going to present for you guys, I will introduce our bar director, Jan, who will be preparing a delicious, delicious cocktail. We're going to be together for quite a bit, 45 minutes, and we are going to talk through three very simple dishes that we like making here a lot. We like eating them as a staff, but also really serving it to our guests. It's a little bit of almost like soul food, very simple. Something you can do at your house within minutes, and with ingredients you can find at pretty much any Latin American grocery store in your neighborhood. So I think as we begin, we're going to be going through the ingredients that we have. We're going to talk a little bit about where they come from, why they're special to us, why we use them, and then show you how to go through the steps of being able to recreate these. If you do have questions, do save them, and we're going to try to address them as we go through the program. And also, the recipes will be available for you to receive and then have to print or save in your computer for future use. As Elizabeth presented earlier, we are a small Mexican restaurant here in Washington, D.C. And our big mission, as we've been going through the pandemic, has been to be able to support the immigrant community, particularly those working in the hospitality industry. Everybody in here is a melting pot of every Latin American country you can imagine. Chef Helen here is from El Salvador. Jan, who will be joining us later, has heritage from Belize. And I myself, I'm originally born and raised in Chihuahua, Mexico, which, if you're unfamiliar with the geography, we're up north. It's the biggest state in Mexico, right on the border of the Rio Grande, just south of Texas. All of the Chihuahua Desert goes all through Chihuahua, comes up to Texas, and what would be the Rocky Mountains flies all the way down, goes through Mexico, and it goes all the way down to South America, and turns into the Andes. What we're going to be doing today is three green recipes, and we call them green because the majority of the recipes that we see in Mexican cuisine are very much true to the flag. They're green, they're red, or they're white. Everything we're going to be doing today is very green. We're coming up on spring. We want it to be fresh, and we're going to be using things that are fresh and almost raw, very little cooking, and things you can just have around for when you need a snack. The first thing we're going to be doing is Guacamole Verde, which is, I think, our biggest seller in the restaurant. It's what everybody comes for, whether they're having a full dinner, they're doing a quick takeout. Super Bowl just passed. We did cases and cases of avocados. It was incredible. So Chef Helen here is going to start helping us put together the guacamole, which is very, very simple. I think there's a million different ways of doing it. Every household, every family, every abuelita has their own version of how they do it. We like to keep it very, very simple. Guacamole, all in itself, means it's a mole made of aguacates, which is avocados. Mole is another word for sauce or something that's mashed up. So here we're going to be doing the guacamole. You can start. We do just about 3 slices, maybe an avocado and a half, maybe 2 avocados, depending on what you're doing. We mash them up really nicely just with a fork. Depending on how creamy you want it, you can mash it up extra. You can keep it a little chunky. And we keep it super, super simple. We really like to let the avocado shine. Here at the restaurant, we use avocados only from Mexico. We like to think that the soil that they're grown on imparts different flavors than what we would get if we were buying avocados from, say, California or even Florida. So we take extra care in making sure that every avocado that comes in here is coming straight from Mexico. Super simple, super fresh. Everybody loves guacamole. We like to keep it, like I said, super simple. We do the avocados. We do a little bit of lime juice, which one, it adds acidity, but also allows the avocado to stay fresh and green and acts as an antioxidant. So it keeps it from browning while you have it set out at your table. We have lime juice. Then we do serrano chilies, which we like, one, for flavor, and two, because it allows us to manage our spice levels a little bit more than a jalapeno would. Jalapenos are amazing, and we use them in different recipes here at the restaurant. However, they tend to be very opinionated and temperamental. So one jalapeno could be normal, and then the next one could be ready to burn your mouth off. So with the serranos, we are able to reach those heat levels more appropriately. If we need more, we can always just add more, but it never comes in super strong with the capsaicin levels. So as she's mashing this up, she's going to be blending in our serrano chilies and then adding the lime juice and salt, and then just mashing it up. And it's perfect for you to start dipping chips. You can use it on sandwiches. We sometimes just keep it in the fridge. We make tacos out of it. And we like to just snack on it, really. Sometimes even just with a spoon. We're big fans of avocados. We wanted to start with this because it's a nice snack. If you have friends over, if you have kids, it's just something quick you can put out while you start doing, whether it's dinner or lunch. It'll keep everybody entertained and happy. It's super, super great. Once we have it all mashed up and mixed, I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. We always like to just finish it off and top it off with a little bit of fresh cilantro leaves to really brighten it up. But it's super, super simple. A lot of people like adding onions and tomatoes or tomatillos. And, like I said, there's a million variations, but we like to keep it super, super simple and really let the avocados shine. You adjust your salt a little bit depending on what you like, and they're just ready to eat with chips. As we move on through that, we're going to be moving into our next dish, which is a salsa verde. The salsa verde, we think here, is important for two reasons. One, it's a great addition if you want your guacamole spicier and you want to do it quick. We always like to just take a little bit of the salsa, a little bit of avocados, you mix them up, and you get all of those flavors that you would from having to chop a ton of onions, a ton of cilantro, and then mixing it up. You have it ready, like super ready to go. What we're going to be doing is a salsa verde cruda, which means raw green salsa in a literal translation. Super quick to make. You have to do nothing to it except throw everything into a blender and let it ride. It's one of the things we like doing for spring. As different vegetables and produce in the DC area start coming up, sometimes we like to switch it out and add ramps and just really play with the flavors of spring and really brighten up those colors. What we're going to be doing here, we're not going to be using a blender because there's already plenty of sounds going on. But through the magic of television, we're going to be adding all our ingredients in here and showing you what the final product is. And really, just to show you the process of it, it's super simple. Depending on what kind of blender you have at home, we always like to take our tomatillos and just quarter them, just so that they're easier to manage on your blade. As you're going, you always want to have your tomatillos underneath. One, so they can blend quicker, but two, as they blend, they will release the liquid, which will allow your blender to move a lot quicker, rather than if you started with your cilantro and your herbs on the bottom. So always go in with your tomatillos on top. Once you have everything pushed in, we do our tomatillos, we do our cilantro, serrano peppers that we've already minced up for this event. Right after that, we do a little bit of garlic. just some perfect cloves of garlic. We like using heads of garlic for certain recipes, and for days and events where we have to do a lot of prep, we like to source peeled garlic, and you can find that at any grocery store, and it's ready for you to go. You can keep it on your fridge. So anytime you need just a clove of garlic, you can put it out, throw it in the blender, and you have your salsa ready. So here we have everything. We just add our seasoning. We throw it in. That's what the sunset. We would then blend, and your product would be this bright, beautiful salsa that you could then just pour into a bowl and serve with chips. Or, like I said, you can use it for guacamole. You can use it to season soups, braces, really anything you want. It's a condiment that you can keep in your fridge, ready to use at any time. First use was for the guacamole. The second one is something that we do here at the restaurant. We use it as an accompaniment or an accoutrement to our quesadilla oaxaqueña. It's a super, super simple quesadilla. I'm sure everybody's familiar with a different version of quesadillas from wherever you're from. Up north in Mexico, we see a lot more flour tortillas as we get closer to the States, and we start hitting the desert where there's a lot less corn growth. Down South Mexico, we use corn tortillas. So here at the restaurant, we make these fresh and we press them every day. If you have the ability to, and you're adventurous enough to try doing them, you can always find corn masa flours at any of the Latin American grocery stores. So we press them. We like keeping them. We have this nice induction stove that hopefully will work out and heat up really fast for us. But quesadillas, and anyone that's here at the restaurant will tell you it's what I eat basically every day. It's sort of my comfort food. It's something that I can, when we're in the rush of service, I can always just grab it, throw it on the pan, get some like cheesy goodness and ready to eat. But this particular version, while it's very, very simple, it also brings a lot of flavor. One, we're using corn, like fresh round corn tortillas that we use here at the restaurant. If you ever are in need or you want to experiment with fresh corn masa, definitely swing by, let us know. We'd be happy to send you home with some. But using fresh ground corn masa is a completely different ballgame than using the dry flour that you would get at the market. The flavors are way stronger. They're very vegetal. They're very grainy. You can definitely taste the corn as you're eating your taco. And, just like any sandwich or any pasta that you would eat on an Italian restaurant or a sandwich that you would get at a deli, you want to make sure that your bread or your pasta itself is of very, very high quality because it's sort of the start of the dish. So without a really good tortilla, you're not really going to have a very good taco. So we like to take these guys, very, very simple, just a little bit of olive oil over medium heat. You don't need a lot of oil. We add a little bit of oil just to make sure that our tortillas don't stick. If you do hot enough fire, it shouldn't stick, but you want to also make sure that you're not burning your tortilla. This is really every Mexican home's version of grilled cheese. It's just bread, just cheese. And then here at the restaurant, we like to add one of the herbs we use a lot throughout our dishes, which is epazote. Not sure if you guys are familiar with it. It's an incredible herb. It's very, very beautiful. Jan, would you mind doing a close-up of these leaves for our guests? It's a very astringent flavor. It's definitely something that you want to use sparingly. It can be very potent if you go heavy on it, but it has a very unique flavor. I think a lot of people describe the flavor to be oily, very petrol-like, and it's very unique. I still to this day have not tasted another Mexican herb or another American herb or really an herb from anywhere that is as unique as this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Oaxaca cheese, which is a white stringy cheese that pulls apart just like basically any string cheese would. Oaxaca cheese carries with it a lot of history through Mexican cuisine, but also you can see the different international influences through immigration that has built what Mexican cuisine is to today. It's cheese very close to what a mozzarella would be. It's pulled in whey and stretched, and then eventually rolled into a big, big ball. So we like to pull it. It's pretty leveled in flavor. It's got a little bit of saltiness, not a lot of acidity. Usually once the balls are pulled, they end up being pretty big, and you can see it here. You can kind of see how it starts to just pull out just like a big ball of string cheese. Not only is it delicious, but it's also super fun to play with. What we're doing here is we're letting this cheese melt a little bit, and then we're going to add just about 2 or 3 little leaves of the epazote. We put it in here. We fold our tortilla, and we just sort of let it go. Even just smelling it, it's one of the most amazing things you can be doing at your home. Super simple. Just throw them in. If you have a bunch of friends, a bunch of kids, a big family, you can literally feed and keep everyone entertained while everybody is either getting ready to watch a game or get ready to sit down for dinner for pennies on the dollar. It's super, super simple. Most grocery stores now carry pretty high quality pre-made tortillas that you can get. I would urge you and suggest and advise you to look at the pack of tortillas that you're buying and look to see if they are made out of nixtamalized corn. If you see them being made of nixtamalized corn, you'll know that they're not made of a million artificial ingredients made to be pliable and shelf stable and all of these different things that we see in products nowadays. If you're unfamiliar with what the word nixtamalized means, nixtamalized is an actual Aztec word that is still used today in culinary terms, which is the process of cooking the corn kernels to be able to grind into masa. So the Aztecs used to take river stone or what we now know as lime, same type of lime that you would use in like a pickling liquid. Same type of thing. What it does, it changes the pH of the water. And with the corn, what it does is it helps release the outer shell, which makes it easier to digest, which was huge in the Aztec culture, as they didn't have all of the technology that we have available to this day. Secondly, what the pH does is it allows the corn to release its natural nutrients. So it makes it more nutritious for human consumption. As it breaks down, it makes it easier for your body to absorb everything that is coming out of there. Once it's cooked, we then take it out. We rinse it out of that bath that it's been cooked in with the lime. And as you're washing it, you can see all of the outer shells really, really come out. And you just have the inner kernel. As that happens, then you're able to then take that corn kernel, which now has been softened through the cooking process, and run it through a mill, and you end up having fresh, beautiful masa that's just ready to be pressed, thrown on your comal or your griddle, and puffed up, ready to eat. It's one of the oldest types of breads, definitely in this side of the world. And it's one that is used all throughout Latin America. Every country in Latin America, from Mexico all the way down, has its own versions. And as you're studying geography or any type of anthropology or even just culinary history, you will see the trends that even populations and villages and different indigenous tribes that live so far away that would never really, in any other terms, be able to play around with each other or see each other because traveling would be such an extraneous endeavor. You would still see very similar iterations of the tortilla or la gordita. Like in Mexico, we have things called gorditas. In El Salvador, they call them pupusas, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you're from the DC area. Their tortillas in Mexico tend to be very, very thin. In El Salvador, they tend to be a little bit thicker. However, it's a giant, giant staple of the Latin American diet. You will find it in pretty much any home south of the border. Tortillas are something you just don't ever live without. So yeah, like we mentioned, we take these are very quickly cooked. You just kind of leave them on here. We're doing it at a very low heat. And your indicator to make sure that these things are done is really just how cheesy and melty your cheese is. You can just sort of press down with your spatula, and you can usually see the cheese start to ooze out of your tortilla. We're going to do one more just to do a set, just how we do it here at the restaurant. And wanted to also continue talking about this epazote leaf that we really, really, really enjoy. We use it on everything. We use it to cook beans. We use it to cook salsas. We use it in different braces. It imparts a flavor that is very, very unique. And anytime I taste it, you're eating Mexican food. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. It's an herb that is very seldom used, if at all, in any other global cuisine. But it very much holds the uniqueness that is Mexico. Two things that always make me think of home are the smell of burning corn, which usually as your tortilla starts getting toasted, you can start feeling all those aromas come out of the pan. You can really smell the tortilla heating up, the corn really being present. And the second one is the herb. As soon as you take your tortilla, and as soon as these guys are ready, we're going to do a little bit of a close-up so you can see how magnificent this cheese is and how well it holds and how beautiful it is once you open it up. I mean, you kind of almost want to cook the quesadillas just to be able to open them, because it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. They're also super fun for guests and super fun for kids. I think every kid in my family has, including myself, has just grown up eating quesadillas since we were little. Once these guys are done, we're gonna just put them back into the plate, and we're gonna do a presentation. It's the exact same presentation that we do here at the restaurant. Again, it's very, very, it's such a simple dish, but so beautiful in its ingredients and everything that's presented that you have to do very little to it, if anything at all. You just sort of let the food do the talking for you. You let it do the work for you. I think very much like in Mexico, the cuisine is really just making food out of what's available, and not necessarily adding more ingredients than you need, right? So I think a lot of cooks take a lot of pride, especially in Mexican cuisine, and being able to impart a lot of flavor and present something very delicious and robust and bountiful with using very little ingredients. So I think a mark of a good cook or a good chef is always making sure that you can feed someone, make them happy, really translate your experience of what you're trying to do with 2 to 3 ingredients. There's nothing here, right? We just use a tortilla, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of epazote, and we're going to be pairing it up with a little bit of our salsa verde that we just blended up quietly for you guys. It's very bright, it's very green, and it just brightens up everything. It kind of really plays well with the fattiness of the cheese, the brightness of the tomatillos, the spice of the chilies, and kind of like a little bit of kick from the raw garlic that goes in it. It's really everything you need. It's a wonderful spring and summer dish, but it's also a wonderful winter and fall dish. There's no real wrong time to do these. So as we get closer, I think we have these guys just about ready. And I want to be able to, I'm going to walk around this table and get close to you guys to really, really open this guy up so you guys can see it. And then right after I come back from that, we're going to start moving into Jan, and he's going to show you a little bit of wonderful cocktails, which he'll also be using. Let me get down over here so you can see. He'll be using epazote leaves, just as we use in the quesadilla. And the idea is to be able to kind of have a really nice snack with also a really fun cocktail. If you're having people over, if you're just hanging out on a Sunday on the backyard, there's there's so many limitations with what we can do these days. So to be able to do something at home, do it with your family, just by yourself, reading a book, just throw the pan on, have these quesadillas ready. They're pretty great. So this is the presentation. I'm trying to make sure that you guys are able to see it. We just sort of lay them out on top of each other, very shingled. Do a little ramekin of the salsa verde. Put this down real quick. This thing is like magic. Your quesadillas get a little toasty, and then your cheese is like ready to go. Right? Once you see this like creamy, ooey gooiness, you know that you're ready to eat it. So they're perfect. You sort of just, I like to just rip them off. Just, it's better than pizza. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring Jan in. He runs most of the cocktails here at the restaurant. He makes sure that everything that we put out from the kitchen has a beautiful accompaniment for you to wash it down with. As we switch over, I'm going to transition and hand the mic over to him and allow him to continue explaining this to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello there, guys. Good afternoon. My name is John, beverage director here at Muchas. I'm here to show you a super cocktail, something that's super refreshing. Like Chef said, we're heading into spring. It's something that you can definitely crush sitting out on the back patio, maybe hanging out with friends or two, or maybe even just when you come home after a long day. Everything that I have here, little 2-piece shaker you're going to need. I have a strainer, fine strainer as well. Tea strainer works if you have it at home. I have a 2-ounce Japanese style jigger. Comes with 2 measurements on this side, 3 measurements on this side. The reason why that is important is I'm going to show you when we're making the beverage. I have 2 spirits here. Gin, I chose Hendrick's, super floral, super herbal. For those people who are gardeners, you'll probably take a liking to Hendrick's gin. We have Sous-chef here, which is a Mexican spirit. The plant is actually the same name as the spirit, Sous-chef. Anybody who lived in the southwestern United States, English speakers, or anybody who likes ornamental grass is going to put as a spoon. This is how that's the plant that they produce it from. I have a little bit of simple syrup, 1-to-1 ratio, simple tone.
My citrus blend is equal parts lemon and lime. And that is going to be our cocktail. So the ratio for spirits here is going to be 1 1/4 ounce Hendrick's gin. It is going to be 3/4 of an ounce Sous-chef. The reason why I was pointing out our jigger earlier is an easy way to get that 1/4 ounce of Hendrick's in there is to go up to our third line here, get that 3/4 ounce Sous-chef, and then we're going to come back to our gin and just top off that full ounce here. Then we're going to come back, do a full ounce of our gin. So it'll be 2-ounce spirits altogether. 0.75 or 3/4 of an ounce of our simple. 3/4 of an ounce of our citrus blend. With epazote, one thing to note on the recipe that you guys are going to be receiving, it's going to say 6 to 8 leaves. The great thing about epazote is the smaller kind of leaves up here are going to have less of that kind of petrol-y flavor. They're not going to be as strong. So this is what I'd recommend if you're using it kind of like on a salad or in a fresh preparation. Quesadillas are somewhere where it's cooked. If it's going into beans, you're going to want to use the larger leaves. So depending on what kind of epazote you have, is going to kind of tell how many epazote leaves you're going to use. So I have a few of the larger ones here. I'm probably just going to use about 4 or 5. That goes in the tin with all of our ingredients. Large scoop of ice. Down. Give it a good shake. All right, strainer goes on. Chef's coming in with his glass here. He's ready for a beverage after this. This goes, right, this is a double old-fashioned glass. Give that a little tap. We're going to top off with some fresh ice here, keep it cool, refreshing. And then as our garnish, I just have a dehydrated wheel of lime. If you don't have a dehydrator at home, I recommend that you get one. It's great. And here's our Southside Loco.
All right. Thank you, Jan. That was amazing. We're definitely big promoters of fun cocktails. Definitely when we're having Mexican food, we like to use a lot of herbs, a lot of fresh ingredients. We try to stay away from like artificial mixers or anything like that. Everything that happens here at the restaurant, fresh lime juice, fresh herbs, fresh fruits, everything that we do, we try to keep it seasonal. We try to keep it fun and very much in tune with what we're doing in the menu. In our very small restaurant that has taken an upswing and has been moving forward through this hard time, we've been able to sort of connect with a lot of farmers and a lot of different purveyors locally that give us the bounty and the different vegetables and fruits that are grown in our areas. That allow us to really play with the menu. So just about every 3 months, every quarter of the year, we're switching out the menu. We're doing different ingredients, different salsas. We're doing different types of iterations of our not just our portfolio of cuisine, but also representing everything that is happening in Mexico currently, not just politically, socially, and otherwise, but also what's happening in the restaurant world. There's very, very amazing chefs that are very talented and really pushing the envelope of what Mexican cuisine is to this day and where it's going. We are, like I said, a small restaurant. We do take back to that thought of making delicious food with what's available. So we really try to recreate a lot of the things that we know from growing up and living back home while using the ingredients that are available to us here in what would be the North Atlantic region of the United States. Lastly, I think we just want to, as we're gearing up to closing down, we want to just say a huge thanks again to the U.S. Botanical Gardens for having us come over, letting us share all of this wonderful food and drink with you guys. If you have any questions at all, we're happy to answer them. You can always email us at hola@muchasgraciasdc.com with any questions, any follow-ups, if you have any questions about what happened here today or anything about the restaurant, our mission, the work that we do. We're happy to engage with you. We love meeting new people. We love meeting our community that supports us every single day and allows us to do what we love to do.
We do have just a couple minutes for questions, so let me ask a few of the most popular ones we've been getting from our audience. Lots of thank yous, and really enjoying your presentation today. We got a few people asking about the masa flour, the tortillas. Can you share just a little bit more? Do you have a recipe that you specifically use for those, or is there a recipe you would recommend?
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're using the bag of flour, different brands. I think we have a lot of different brands that come from Latin America that are sold and distributed here in the United States. There's also a lot of local or domestic brands that operate through different parts and regions of the U.S. that grow different types of heritage corns or Mexican strains, and they make their own flour mixes. Each brand really depends on their cooking process, how fine they grind their flour. They take different levels of water. Working with the flour is very simple. It's literally just the flour, water, and a little bit of salt. There's not a lot to it. But whenever you buy a bag, if you look and we were talking about pasta earlier, just as you would get a pasta, you look at the back. It will tell you the ratio of flour to your water, and then you just season to taste, and it's ready to flip. I think the big formula for cooking a good tortilla and having it puff up, your tortilla always wants to puff up. If it's not puffing up, it's not cooking properly. If it's not puffing up, two things. One, you're not leaving it long enough in your fire. And two, it doesn't have enough water. So if you're not seeing your tortillas puff up, add a little bit more liquid, go back in, and then we do 3 flips on it. You do about 30 seconds on one, flip it over, 30 seconds on the second, flip it over, 30 seconds on the third, and on your third flip, you will see that elevation.
Great, thank you. So this is a question that I have had myself. When you're using tomatillos and you peel the papery outsides off, it's a little sticky. Do you need to try and clean that off? Is that a problem, or do you just go forth with your sticky tomatillos?
Well, we love vegetables and we like using every piece of them. Obviously, we don't eat the husk. It tends to be bitter. It's not easily digestible. That's the main reason why we don't eat that. If you eat it in high quantities, it also contains a toxin that might make you sick. It's not going to kill you, but it might make you feel not so great. What we do here, when we do get the tomatillos from the husk, we take them before we even start peeling them and we put them in a big container and we cover them with water. We let them sit for about 10 minutes. The water starts breaking down that stickiness, and you can sort of just peel the husk off in that same water. By the time it comes out, just give it another little rinse and that stickiness should come out. If you don't have that kind of time, if your peel is coming right out and they're just a little bit sticky, just throw them in your blender and eat them. They're really not, it's not really going to do very much to you. I think just as a part of like the hygiene process, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting your tomatillos from a reputable source. You know where they're coming from. And, if you're not necessarily sure how they were handled or where they came from, I would always suggest that you definitely give them a good wash.
Great. One last question for you. How long is the salsa verde good for? Is there a length of time in the fridge?
Yeah. We, as a rule of thumb, anything in the restaurant, we don't keep anything longer than 7 days. 7 days is sort of, our mark for time to make fresh. Something like this that is raw, we go a little bit shorter. It's about 3 days. For a number of reasons, you'll start losing a little bit of the freshness. The raw ingredients will start oxidizing. And I think for 3 days is sort of our mark, but the salsa itself will tell you. Once you make it, it's very, very bright green, right? You have that cilantro, you have that tomatillo, the color is very vibrant. And as you start seeing the days pass, usually by the third day, that vibrant green will start looking a little bit more yellow and eventually start darkening to a brown. So once you start seeing the loss of color, you'll start seeing you'll also start losing a little bit of the flavor. 3 days is what we go for because we want to strive to make sure that our product is always fresh. I think you can sort of play by ear and, as a home cook or something that you have in your fridge. If it's lost color, if you see any kind of like effervescence or bubbliness, that means it's fermenting and you can taste the sourness. Again, I don't think it'll make you sick if you eat it, but it's definitely going to impart a lot of flavor that you may not be looking to have on your dishes.
Well, thank you so much.